Former AEW TNT champion Miro, formerly known as Rusev in WWE, reportedly has signed a contract with World Wrestling Entertainment after being spotted at its headquarters yesterday. We'll let you know all the details on that. Plus, Switchblade Jay White reportedly has suffered an injury. He has been removed from the Owen Hart tournament and is set for surgery. Speaking of the tournament, the men's Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament bracket has been revealed last night on Dynamite. Will Ospreay will face Kevin Knight in the tournament at AEW Dynasty this weekend. The bracket for the women's tournament has also been revealed last night, with Mercedes Moné facing off against Julia Hart this weekend at AEW Dynasty. Jon Moxley drops Willow Nightingale with a paradigm shift DDT last night after suffering defeat on Dynamite. Swerve Strickland admits he deserved to have his house burned down by Hangman Page last night on Dynamite. The AEW World Tag Team Championships are set to be defended this weekend at Dynasty. Dax Harwood is fined $10,000 after his actions last Saturday on AEW Collision. Speaking of Collision, several matches and segments are confirmed for Saturday's show. Plus, several events and timings have been confirmed for AEW All In Texas week later on this year. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with Rusev, formerly known as Miro, returning to WWE. Of course, 2025 has been a year of former AEW talent crossing the street and signing with WWE, with Penta and new NXT North American champion Ricky Saints being the first to debut on TV. Rey Fenix will be up next with his debut scheduled for SmackDown tomorrow, while it's expected that Malachi Black will also be making his WWE return sooner rather than later, with vignettes teasing his arrival already airing on SmackDown. And now, another former WWE star turned former AEW star seems to be on his way back as well. PW Insider is reporting that Miro, formerly known as Rusev, was spotted at WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. Those close to the situation say that Miro has signed a new contract with WWE and is in Stamford to finalize details regarding his return. It was noted that his wife, CJ Perry, aka Lana, was not spotted at WWE HQ, leaving her status with the promotion currently unknown. It's been a 5-year absence from WWE for Miro, who wrestled in the promotion as Rusev for a decade, beginning in WWE Developmental Territories, Florida Championship Wrestling, and NXT. Eventually paired with Perry, the duo were called up to the main roster in 2014. Over the next 6 years, Rusev would win the United States Championship 3 times and have high-profile matches with John Cena, AJ Styles, and other top stars, though he struggled to break through as a main event talent. After he was released by WWE in 2020 as part of a mass wave of cuts said to be caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, Miro joined AEW later that year. He achieved initial success winning the TNT Championship in May of 2021, but he would only wrestle 13 matches after dropping the title to Sammy Guevara that fall. He requested his release last year, and he received his release in February. Now, a big change to the men's Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament. Switchblade Jay White is out. Jay White will no longer be competing in the 2025 Owen Hart Cup after he entered himself in the tournament last week. Commentary made the announcement to open AEW Dynamite on Wednesday and said that the Death Riders took out White prior to the show going on the air. They said he would not be able to compete in the tournament ahead of the bracket reveal on Wednesday's show. White was one of the 3 men who had entered the Owens so far to earn a shot at the AEW World Championship at AEW All In Texas in July. Hangman Page and Will Ospreay declared for the tournament as well. Just last week, White had noted in a backstage interview how last year's tournament hadn't gone well for him as he fell short in the semi-finals to Page. He spent 3 months on the shelf due to injury afterward. Now, when it comes to what's going on and how long he's going to be out, we've got more details courtesy of Sean Rossap of Fightful Select. As I mentioned, AEW mentioned on Dynamite that Switchblade Jay White was injured due to an attack from the Death Riders out of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Fightful Select has learned that White had sustained a legitimate injury ahead of Dynamite, but that a storyline reason was created to explain it. Fightful has confirmed the injury and that White is expected to undergo surgery. Fightful say they've not confirmed what the injury specifically is. The injury has caused some significant creative changes as a result of his removal from the tournament. Get any more details on the injury or how long he's expected to be out for, we'll let you know in an upcoming video. Speaking of the Owen Hart Cup, we've got details on the men's bracket for the tournament. The brackets for the 2025 Owen Hart Foundation tournament were officially revealed on the April 2nd edition of AEW Dynamite, as 8 men will fight it out for the right to challenge for the AEW World Championship at All In Texas on July 12th. Before they were announced, it was confirmed that Switchblade Jay White had been removed from the tournament after being assaulted by the Death Riders, but he had indeed suffered this legitimate injury that requires surgery. However, White's absence won't make the road to Globe Life Field any easier for the 8 participants. On one side of the bracket, the replacement for White will be the newly signed Kevin Knight, but he will have a tough test ahead of him as he's been matched up against Will Ospreay, who had already declared his intentions of entering the tournament weeks earlier. The winner of that match will take on either the current Never Openweight champion Konosuke Takeshita or Brody King of the Hounds of Hell. On the other side of the bracket, the other man who had declared his entry into the tournament ahead of time, Hangman Page, will look to rectify his 2024 tournament run when he was defeated in the final by Bryan Danielson. However, he will face a mystery wildcard opponent who won't be revealed until the night of the first round of when that match happens. The winner of that match will face either the Proto star Kyle Fletcher or former Ring of Honor World Champion Mark Briscoe, with whose those two men have crossed paths multiple times over the past few months, including in the 2024 Continental Classic. Now, the tournament will officially begin on Sunday at AEW Dynasty. A reminder, we'll be doing a watch-along and a post-show for that show because Kevin Knight will make his AEW pay-per-view debut. Shortly after announcing the full bracket for the tournament, AEW revealed that the first-round matchup between Kevin Knight and Will Ospreay will take place at AEW Dynasty. The announcement came after Knight and Ospreay defeated Blake Christian and Lee Johnson in tag team action last night on AEW Dynamite. Now, switching over to the women's side of things when it comes to the Owen Hart Cup tournament. The bracket for the 2025 Women's Owen Hart Cup was revealed during AEW Dynamite. Last weekend's AEW Collision saw 6 women declare for this year's tournament, with the winner to face the Women's World Champion at All In Texas, including the reigning TBS Champion Mercedes Moné, Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena, as well as former World Champion Jamie Hayter and Thunder Rosa, former TBS Champion Chris Statlander, and former Ring of Honor Women's Television Champion Billy Starks. With the bracket announced, it was confirmed that Harley Cameron and Julia Hart will join the lineup. Starks lost to Hayter on Saturday, and they will meet for a rematch in the opening round of the tournament, with the winner of that bout to meet the victor between Thunder Rosa and Chris Statlander in the semi-finals. On the other side of the bracket, Athena will face Cameron and Moné will face Hart, meaning the long-awaited and reportedly planned bout between Athena and Moné could come in the semi-finals. None of the previous winners of the tournament are competing within it this year, with Statlander reaching the semi-finals in 2022 and 2024, Athena in 2023, and Hart and Starks failing to get out of the first round in 2022 and 2023 respectively. Hayter was a quarterfinalist in 2022, while it will be the first time competing in the tournament for Cameron, Rosa, and Moné. The previous winners were Britt Baker in 2022, Willow Nightingale in 2023, and Mariah May in 2024, with May using her title shot at All In to dethrone timeless Toni Storm for her first Women's Championship reign. Now, the tournament, as it is on the men's side of things, will kick off for the women this coming Sunday at AEW Dynasty. Of course, as mentioned, we'll have a watch-along and a post-show for that. Check out the sidebar for all of the details. Shortly after revealing the full bracket for the Women's Owen Hart Cup tournament, AEW announced that the first-round match between Mercedes Moné and Julia Hart will take place at AEW Dynasty. The winner of that match will move on to face the winner of another first-round bout between Athena and Harley Cameron. Now, going back to AEW Dynamite last night, Jon Moxley dropped Willow Nightingale with a paradigm shift. Willow Nightingale might have won the match, but she didn't win the war. The April 2nd edition of AEW Dynamite was open with a mixed tag team tornado bout that pitted Swerve Strickland and Willow Nightingale against the Death Rider duo of AEW World Champion Jon Moxley and Marina Shafir. During a pivotal moment of the match, Strickland attempted to hit Moxley with a house call. Instead, Marina Shafir jumped in the way and took the hit. In the end, Nightingale went on to score the win for her team, pinning Marina Shafir after a signature powerbomb. She also put Jon Moxley through a table. After the match, Moxley got some revenge as he dropped Willow Nightingale with his signature DDT. Before Swerve Strickland could retaliate, Moxley rolled out of the ring and left the arena. Now, speaking of Swerve Strickland, he had a conversation with his longtime rival Hangman Page last night. Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page came face-to-face once again on AEW Dynamite. The two men yelled at each other with officials holding them back. Hangman reminded Swerve that he broke into his house. Swerve fired back that Hangman burned his house down. "You deserved it," shouted Hangman. "I know," admitted Swerve. Hangman acknowledged Swerve's comment and walked away. Swerve and Hangman got into a confrontation last Wednesday on AEW Dynamite, the first time they shared the screen since Hangman defeated Swerve in a lights-out steel cage match at AEW All Out 2024. Swerve, of course, is set to challenge Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship in the main event of Dynasty this coming Sunday. Speaking of Dynasty, a big tag team title match is confirmed for Sunday as well. Bill and Keith want a shot at the gold. The April 2nd edition of AEW Dynamite featured another victory for the Learning Tree as Big Bill and Brian Keith picked up a tag victory by defeating a pair of enhancement talents. After the bout, Bill and Keith called their shot for AEW Dynasty, challenged Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin to a match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships this coming Sunday. Bobby Lashley then proceeded to stop MVP from responding to the challenge before walking away. Later in the night, the match was confirmed for this Sunday's AEW Dynasty pay-per-view. Dax Harwood, he had to pay a $10,000 fine last night on Dynamite. Over the past few weeks, tensions have emerged within FTR as Dax Harwood showing frustration following Cope's AEW World Championship defeat to Jon Moxley on the March 12th episode of AEW Dynamite. Tensions escalated on last week's Collision show where Dax put his hands on AEW referee Paul Turner as well as his own tag team partner Cash Wheeler. Following putting his hands on Turner, a backstage interview aired on last night's Dynamite, where Renee Paquette was backstage with FTR and Paul Turner. Renee announced that Dax had been fined $10,000 for putting his hands on Turner, which Harwood then paid directly to the referee. He then apologized to Cash, who said that he and Dax would be partners at Dynasty, but would be having a conversation following the show. Of course, FTR are set to team with Cope as rated FTR against the Death Riders in a match for the AEW World Trios Championships at Dynasty. Now, several matches and segments have been confirmed for this Saturday's edition of AEW Collision. Let's begin with a big meaty men and match against some small but strong men on Saturday night. As Powerhouse Hobbs continues his feud with the family, he's partnering with a legend to take on two of the most prominent family members. AEW announced that on Saturday's AEW Collision, Powerhouse Hobbs and Tomohiro Ishii are banding together to take on Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita. In addition to that, we've got mere hours before Mike Bailey comes face-to-face with Ricochet and Kenny Omega. Speedball will be taking on another incredible competitor in Dralistico, and Ricochet won't be far behind. AEW have announced that Speedball Mike Bailey will be facing Dralistico on AEW Collision on Saturday night, with Ricochet himself being on commentary for the show. In addition to that, it's going to be a big tag team match because there's going to be the issues between Top Flight and also Lio Rush and Action Andretti are possibly going to be solved. AEW have announced that on AEW Collision, Top Flight will be taking on CRU, that being Lio Rush and Action Andretti. In addition to that, also, we'll get a mixture of upcoming AEW Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament matches. First, ahead of the Women's Owen Hart Cup Tournament, Mercedes Moné and Harley Cameron, Strange Bedfellows, will be teaming together to face the duo of Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena and Julia Hart. Also, Cash Wheeler will take on Pac, and the Don Callis family duo of Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher will face Powerhouse Hobbs and Tomohiro Ishii, as I mentioned too. And finally, AEW has released a lot of details when it comes to AEW All In Texas Week. All Elite Wrestling's Road to All In Texas on July 12th is already underway, with seeds already being planted on television relating to what fans can expect at Globe Life Field. As the anticipation begins to build, AEW have officially announced the schedule for the week leading up to their biggest event in North American history, as well as a special start time for All In Texas itself. As first reported by the Dallas Morning News, the main show portion of All In Texas will begin at 2 p.m. local time, meaning that it will air live at 3 p.m. on the East Coast and midday on the West Coast. It's not been confirmed what time the 0 hour or buy-in portion of the show will start, but given that AEW have traditionally started their pay-per-view pre-shows 90 minutes before the main card, it's likely that the festivities at Globe Life Field will commence before 1 p.m. local time. Before AEW gets to Globe Life Field, the company will invade the Dallas County area in the final week before All In Texas with the July 9th episode of AEW Dynamite, which will take place at the Curtis Colwell Center in Garland, as well as a special live episode of AEW Collision that will take place in the same building on Thursday, July 10th, both of which will have a 7 p.m. local start time. AEW will then arrive in Arlington on Friday, July 11th with the StarCast Texas convention at the Sheraton Hotel, which will also spill over to July 12th, before giving fans one final piece of wrestling action in the form of Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor event on July 11th, which will take place at the Esports Stadium, situated less than 15 minutes away from Globe Life Field at 7 p.m. local time. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. A reminder, as always, you can join the WN365 roster. All you have to do is click the link in the video description or click the join button. You can also scan the QR code when it comes up on the sidebar. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members only content. Also, check out the sidebar for upcoming watch-alongs, whether it be AEW Dynasty this weekend. I will be live on Sunday, 15 minutes before the show goes live on the air, for a watch along and then a post show, so be sure to join me then. We've also got coming up Stand and Deliver, a watch along for that. In addition, we've got watch alongs for both nights of WrestleMania and post shows for both nights of WrestleMania. Select episodes of Raw and SmackDown I'll also be live for when it comes to watch alongs and post shows too. All of the information will be in the sidebar once those dates are confirmed. I appreciate everyone for tuning in, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.